Nina Carter stepped out of the deep yellow taxi, exuding a relaxed yet confident demeanor. Her simple gray sweater, faded jeans, and white sneakers created a stark contrast to the luxurious vibe of Bellmont Luxe, the renowned high-end boutique in the heart of Ashton City. She slung her bag over her shoulder and gazed up at the building, its gleaming glass facade reflecting the bright sunlight. Belmont Luxe, she murmured, a faint smile playing on her lips. This was the dream she had nurtured for years. Not just to own a major brand, but to transform it into a symbol of innovation and equity. Taking a deep breath, Nina stepped through the automatic glass doors. The subtle scent of high-end perfumes filled the air, mingling with the soft background music. Inside, the store's interior was meticulously curated, with sparkling chandeliers, marble floors, and elegantly designed display shelves. Staff dressed in sleek uniforms moved gracefully yet efficiently, attending to customers examining handbags, shoes, and expensive jewelry. Nina chose not to rush. She began strolling along the shelves, her fingers lightly brushing the soft surfaces of silk scarves and leather bags. Though she appeared to be just another customer, her sharp eyes missed nothing. The way staff interacted with clients, the arrangement of merchandise, even the demeanor of the security guards stationed at the entrance. A middle-aged staff member with neatly pinned hair and gleaming glasses cast a glance at Nina from head to toe. This was Martha Lane, who had worked at Belmont Luxe for over 10 years. Martha frowned slightly as she took in Nina's casual attire. Who dresses like that to come in here? She thought, retreating toward the display counter, but keeping her gaze fixed on Nina. Not wanting to attract attention, Nina feigned interest in a pair of high heels, her fingers lightly grazing the glossy leather. She noticed Martha's scrutinizing gaze, but remained unfazed. Nina was no stranger to being judged by appearances. This wasn't the first time, and it certainly wouldn't be the last. As Nina approached the handbag section, she overheard a conversation between Martha and a young staff member named Alex. She doesn't look like one of our customers, Martha muttered quietly, but just loud enough for Nina to hear. Alex gave a hesitant nod, his expression wavering as though not fully agreeing, but unwilling to object. Nina smiled faintly but didn't turn around. Instead, she continued her exploration of the store, her pace unhurried as if savoring the moment. Internally, she was cataloging every detail and every face. This wasn't just a casual visit. It marked the beginning of a new journey. Martha Lane stood behind the display counter, her gaze still fixed intently on Nina. Every step the young woman took stirred an unsettling feeling in Martha, as though Nina was trespassing into a world where she didn't belong. Although Belmont Lux prided itself on catering to a diverse clientele, Martha was accustomed to seeing people walk through the doors adorned in ostentatious displays of wealth. Alex, come here, Martha called softly, tilting her head subtly toward Nina. The young staff member approached, his expression betraying his unease. What's she doing here? Martha asked, her voice low but laced with contempt. She looks like the type who comes in just to look, not to buy anything. Alex frowned slightly. Maybe she's just browsing. Not everyone comes in ready to shop. Martha scoffed, her displeasure evident. Well, either way, she doesn't fit in here. We need to make sure she doesn't disrupt the other customers. Reluctantly, Alex nodded but said nothing more. He was aware of Martha's habit of judging others based on appearances, but chose not to challenge her, especially given her seniority. Across the store, Nina continued her quiet observation. She had already noticed Martha's cold, piercing stares and sensed the whispers behind her back, yet she refused to let it bother her. This visit wasn't just about evaluating the store, it was about understanding the people within it. Nina moved to the section displaying high-end handbags, where an older woman in an elegant deep blue dress was engaged in conversation with a staff member. Standing at a distance, Nina watched the interaction. The bows, the professional smiles, and the soft, polished tone of voice. But as she noted these details, she also caught sight of Martha standing in the corner, sneaking glances filled with prejudice. Hello, can I help you? A sudden voice interrupted her thoughts. Alex, with a polite smile, had approached her. Nina turned to meet his gaze and returned his smile. No, thank you. I'm just looking, Nina replied calmly. Alex nodded, but before he could leave, Martha appeared beside him. We have a wide selection of exclusive products tailored for our customers. Martha said, her tone professional but laced with unmistakable condescension. If you need anything, don't hesitate to ask. Nina simply gave a faint smile and remained silent. Her eyes shifted from Martha to Alex before returning to the display. In that moment, she fully grasped the resistance she would face in the days to come. Feeling challenged by Nina's silence, Martha turned on her heel and walked away, leaving Alex standing there, looking uncertain. He glanced at Nina quietly, wondering who this woman really was and why she seemed so unfazed by the hostility directed at her. Nina resumed her stroll through the store, her steps light yet purposeful. This was merely the beginning of a long journey, and she knew that transforming Bellmont Luxe would require starting with people like Martha Lane. Nina Carter moved through the sections of Bellmont Luxe with a calm demeanor, seemingly engrossed in admiring the products. In reality, she was scrutinizing every detail, from how the staff interacted with customers to their unguarded expressions when they thought no one was watching. Each employee had their own style of service. Some displayed enthusiasm, while others merely did the bare minimum, their smiles absent. Nina paid particular attention to Martha Lane. While Martha's work appeared professional, her attitude and demeanor lacked the empathy essential for the job. In one corner of the store, Alex was assisting a young customer. Nina watched him from a distance, her curiosity piqued. Alex seemed to be putting significant effort into satisfying the customer, but often glanced toward Martha as if seeking guidance. Nina discerned that he was young and perhaps lacked confidence, yet his gaze held an inner struggle she wanted to understand better. At that moment, Martha approached the area where Alex stood. Nina skillfully moved toward a nearby display, keeping just enough distance to avoid drawing attention while still overhearing their conversation. Alex, you need to stay focused. Don't let customers think we're unprofessional, Martha said, her voice low but firm. Alex nodded, his expression awkward but submissive. After Martha left, he sighed quietly, adjusted his tie, and resumed his work. Nina allowed herself a faint smile before returning to the high-end handbag display. There, an older customer, Mrs. Whitmore, was leisurely browsing for a bag. Nina noticed the woman hesitating, seemingly struggling to make a decision, yet no staff member approached to assist her. "This one is lovely, isn't it?" Nina said softly, her tone warm and friendly. Mrs. Whitmore looked up, slightly surprised, but soon smiled. "Oh, it is, but I'm not sure if this color suits me," she replied hesitantly. "This shade of blue would complement your outfit beautifully, and it's quite unique. If you'd like to try it out, I'm sure the staff here would be happy to help," Nina said, her gaze kind and encouraging. At that moment, another staff member, Clara, approached. Bowing her head apologetically for not noticing sooner, Clara quickly began assisting Mrs. Whitmore. Nina stepped back, watching as Clara attentively helped the customer. It gave her a sense of relief. Martha wasn't representative of all the staff here. However, from across the room, Martha continued to watch Nina with a scrutinizing glare. It was evident she hadn't shed her biases about the casually dressed young woman. Nina, though, paid no mind. She knew she needed patience and precision with every move she made. As Nina continued her observations, she realized Bellmont Luxe wasn't merely a high-end store. It was a vivid portrait of humanity, reflecting biases and subtle pressures. She reminded herself that to bring about meaningful change, she needed to delve deeper and explore every corner of this store. Most importantly, she had to start with the people, those like Martha and Alex. Nina Carter maintained her composed demeanor as she approached the high-end jewelry display. Sparkling necklaces, diamond-studded earrings, and luxury watches were meticulously arranged within gleaming glass cases. She bent slightly, her eyes studying a white gold necklace with a deep sapphire pendant, as though deliberating on something. From across the room, Martha Lane couldn't hide her discomfort. She strode toward Nina, trying to maintain a polite facade, though the tension in her steps betrayed her. Nearby, Alex noticed Martha's approach and immediately sensed the shift in atmosphere. He paused, waiting to see what would unfold. "Hello," Martha began, her voice attempting friendliness but laced with underlying scrutiny. "Do you need any assistance?" Nina looked up, her calm gaze meeting Martha's. "No, thank you. I'm just browsing," she replied, a soft smile gracing her lips, but doing nothing to diminish the confidence in her tone. Martha cleared her throat, clearly unsettled by Nina's composed response. These items are quite special. I just want to make sure we can provide you with the best support. Typically, our clients prefer to consult with us before viewing the products. Nina tilted her head slightly, her smile unwavering. I appreciate your concern. I'll let you know if I need any help. The tension thickened as a voice from behind interrupted. Is there a problem? Both women turned to see Mrs. the Sec Whitmore, the older customer Nina had assisted earlier in the handbag section. She stepped closer, her sharp eyes scanning Martha before settling on Nina. This young lady is quite polite and kind. I met her in the handbag section earlier. She has excellent taste, Mrs. Whitmore said in a calm yet authoritative tone. I don't think there's any reason for concern, Miss Lane. Martha faltered slightly, clearly caught off guard by Mrs. Whitmore's unexpected defense of Nina. Her face reddened momentarily, but she quickly forced a strained smile. Of course, I just want to ensure all our customers receive the best service possible, she said, trying to sound composed. Nina acknowledged Mrs. Whitmore's support with a slight nod before turning back to Martha. I'm genuinely impressed with the service here. Thank you for your attention, Nina said, her tone light but with a sharp undertone. Nearby, Alex, sensing Martha's discomfort, stepped forward to ease the situation. If you need further assistance, I'd be happy to help, he said, his gaze sincere as it met Nina's. Thank you, Alex, Nina replied, her smile returning. As Nina walked away, Martha remained rooted in place, her embarrassment of defeat evident. Mrs. Whitmore offered Nina a subtle smile before returning to her own shopping. In that moment, Nina understood that things were beginning to unfold. This was more than just a store. It was a stage where prejudices and biases were exposed under the spotlight. She took a deep breath and continued toward the back of the store. This visit wasn't over, and she knew that the journey to transform Bellmont Luxe was only just beginning. The Bellmont Luxe store became livelier as the afternoon unfolded. The gentle golden glow from the chandeliers blended with the setting sun's rays, creating a warm and luxurious atmosphere. Nina Carter walked leisurely toward the center of the store, observing a group of employees busily rearranging the products after peak hours. At that moment, a familiar figure appeared at the entrance. It was Mr. Davis, Bellmont Luxe's regional manager, a well-dressed middle-aged man with a polished demeanor and a professional smile. Upon seeing Nina, he paused momentarily, then quickly approached her with a respectful expression. Miss Carter, it's an honor to meet you here, he said in a clear, warm voice. The entire store seemed to pause for a moment as his words echoed through the air. All eyes turned to Nina. Martha Lane, standing near the display area, looked as though she had just seen a ghost. Her eyes widened, her breathing slowed, and her face rapidly shifted from astonishment to embarrassment. Nina responded with a gentle yet meaningful smile. She extended her hand to Mr. Davis, her voice calm but authoritative. Hello, Davis. I just wanted to take a quick look at the store before officially meeting the management team. Her words struck Martha like lightning. She couldn't believe that the woman she had underestimated all day was, in fact, the new owner of Bellmont Luxe. Nearby, Alex was equally surprised, though his astonishment quickly turned into admiration. You're the new owner? Martha stammered, struggling to maintain her composure as a wave of guilt washed over her. Nina turned to Martha, her gaze sharp but not harsh. Yes, I am the new owner of Bellmont Luxe. It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Lane, Nina said, her tone full of meaning yet devoid of public reproach. Martha bowed her head, a deep sense of embarrassment coursing through her. She knew that her behavior throughout the day had been laid bare before the woman she now had to call her boss. Mr. Davis broke the silence. Miss Carter, we're thrilled to have you here. Would you like me to introduce you to the team now? Nina shook her head slightly. There's no rush. I want to get a feel for the store first, and I believe I've already gained a clear impression. She stepped toward Alex, who stood hesitantly yet respectfully. Alex, you did an excellent job today. Thank you for your professionalism, Nina said, her sincere smile making Alex blush with both embarrassment and pride. When Nina turned to Martha again, her expression was gentle but firm. Miss Lane, I hope we can have a private conversation tomorrow. I believe we have much to discuss. Martha nodded, unable to meet Nina's eyes. Yes, ma'am. I look forward to speaking with you, she replied, her voice trembling. Nina smiled at Mr. Davis. Thank you, Davis. I think I'll wrap up my visit here today. Tomorrow, I'll return with a more detailed plan. As Nina left the store, the atmosphere remained charged with a mix of awe and respect. Martha stood silently, watching Nina's figure disappear, filled with regret. Meanwhile, Alex sensed that significant change was on the horizon and hoped he could be a part of it. For Nina, this was just the first step. She knew that the greatest challenge lay not in managing the store, but in reshaping the mindset and culture of the people within it. But with determination, she believed everything could change. The next morning, sunlight filtered through the heavy curtains of the Bellmont Luxe management office, where Nina Carter sat waiting. On the desk before her was a file she had spent the entire night preparing, containing a comprehensive review of the store and its staff. Beside it was a steaming cup of coffee, its soothing aroma helping her relax in this moment of calm. A knock on the door broke the silence. "Come in," Nina said, her voice steady yet commanding. Martha Lane entered hesitantly. Her freshly pressed uniform and neatly tied up hair couldn't hide the unease on her face. She gave Nina a slight bow before taking the seat across from her. "Ms. Lane, thank you for being punctual," Nina began, her eyes meeting Martha's with a calm yet piercing gaze. "We need to discuss what happened yesterday." Martha swallowed hard, her hands clasped together in her lap. "Miss Carter, I want to apologize. My behavior yesterday was inappropriate. I didn't realize that you—" Nina raised a hand, gently cutting Martha off. "What I want to address isn't just about my identity, Miss Lane. The issue here is how you treat people and how you perceive others." Martha bowed her head, unable to meet Nina's gaze. I didn't mean to. Perhaps I let my biases influence my actions, but I am truly sorry and promise it won't happen again." Nina leaned forward, her expression growing more serious. "I appreciate your apology, but apologies alone aren't enough. I need you to understand that actions like yours can hurt customers and damage Bellmont Luxe's reputation. We are a luxury brand, but true luxury stems from how we treat people, not the value of our products." Martha nodded, her voice shaky. "I understand, ma'am. I will change." Nina took a deep breath before continuing. "I want you to attend all the upcoming training sessions on diversity and inclusion that we will be organizing. Additionally, I expect you to reflect on yourself and find ways to improve your mindset. If you need any support, I'm here to help." Martha lifted her head and, for the first time, her eyes showed genuine sincerity. "Thank you, Miss Carter. I will do my best to make amends." Nina nodded, a faint smile crossing her lips. "I hope so. We need to build a professional and fair working environment together, and that starts with people like you, Miss Lane." After Martha left, Nina leaned back in her chair, her eyes drifting toward the window where sunlight streamed through. This conversation was just the first step in the journey to transform Bellmont Luxe's culture, but she believed that with patience and determination, everything could gradually change. The first staff meeting, led by Nina Carter, took place in Bellmont Luxe's main conference room, a modern space with a long wooden table and soft lighting. All employees, from management to sales associates, were present. The atmosphere in the room was a mix of curiosity and tension as everyone waited for announcements from the new owner. Nina stood at the head of the table, exuding confidence and professionalism while maintaining an approachable demeanor. She smiled as she looked around the room before beginning. "Thank you all for being here today," Nina began, her voice clear and compelling. "I understand that change often brings uncertainty, but I'm not here to dismantle the values that have built Bellmont Luxe. I'm here to work with you to grow and elevate this brand to new heights." Her words caused the room to fall silent for a moment. The employees' gazes were fixed on her. Some nodded in agreement, while others remained skeptical. Martha Lane, sitting in a corner of the table, tried to maintain a calm expression, though her thoughts were unsettled. Alex, seated nearby, listened intently to every word. "One of my main goals is to enhance the workplace culture here," Nina continued. "We're not just selling high-end products, we're providing memorable experiences for our customers and building a work environment where everyone feels respected and valued." She placed a set of documents on the table. "This is the training plan for diversity and inclusion that I'd like to roll out in the coming weeks. This program will not only help us better understand our customers, but also allow each of us to recognize the value of differences and how we can work more effectively together. A few employees whispered among themselves while others stayed silent. Suddenly, a hand went up. It was Clara, one of the younger sales associates. Miss Carter, does this training mean we'll have to change the way we currently work? Clara asked, her tone curious rather than confrontational. Nina nodded, her gentle gaze directed at Clara. Yes, Clara, but change here doesn't mean abandoning what you do well. It's about learning to see things from a new perspective. I believe that when we foster mutual understanding and respect, our work will become more effective. A faint sigh came from Martha's direction, but Nina paid it no mind. She continued outlining the training sessions, practical lessons, and how they would be integrated into the store's daily operations. Her detailed information and clear presentation gradually eased the tension in the room. As the meeting concluded, Nina walked out of the conference room, feeling both relieved and determined. The employees began discussing the session, but their chatter didn't concern her. She knew that the journey to transformation wouldn't be easy, yet every small step brought hope. Standing near the display counter, Nina looked around the store. She sensed a new energy, a spark of change that had just been ignited, and she knew that with patience, Bellmont Luxe could become a model of diversity and inclusion in the high-end retail industry. After the meeting, the atmosphere at Bellmont Luxe became more tense. Quiet murmurs spread through every corner of the store, and not everyone agreed with the changes Nina Carter proposed. Among them, Martha Lane was the most visibly dissatisfied. The first training session was held on a Wednesday afternoon in the familiar conference room, now carrying a new sense of purpose. A guest speaker was invited to discuss the importance of diversity and inclusion, sharing real-life stories and guiding attendees on how to apply these principles in their daily work. Martha sat in a corner of the room, arms crossed, her expression cold. She felt as if the program was a personal accusation, as though everyone was implying she was the store's biggest problem. Meanwhile, Alex, seated nearby, listened attentively, occasionally nodding in agreement with the speaker's points. Let's consider a scenario, the speaker said, breaking the silence in the room. A customer walks into the store dressed simply but with a serious intent to shop. How would your staff approach them? Would you judge them solely based on appearances? These words struck Martha like a dagger to her pride. She glanced around, noticing a few fleeting glances in her direction. Pressing her lips together, she felt a growing sense of isolation. After the session ended, people began leaving the conference room. Martha stood, ready to leave quickly, when Alex stopped her. Ms. Lane, Alex called, his voice gentle yet firm. Can I have a word with you? Martha paused, her expression defensive. What is it? Alex took a deep breath. I know these changes aren't easy, but I think they're necessary. We can all learn something from this program. Personally, I think you don't understand, Martha interrupted, her tone sharp. I've worked here for over 10 years. I know what customers want and what they expect. These training sessions are just a waste of our time. Alex met her gaze directly, unflinching. You might be right, Miss Lane. But if we don't change, how can we know we're not capable of doing better? Sometimes even experience needs refreshing. Alex's words made Martha pause. She didn't reply, instead walking quickly out of the room, leaving Alex standing there with a look of disappointment. That evening, in her small apartment, Martha sat at her dining table, staring at a cup of cold tea. Alex's words and the speaker's message echoed in her mind. She began to recall moments when she had judged customers based on their appearance, times when her attitude might have made them feel unwelcome. Outside, the moonlight streamed through the window, illuminating Martha's contemplative face. She realized she needed to confront the truth. Perhaps the changes Nina Carter was bringing weren't accusations, but an opportunity for her to reflect and embark on a new journey. The next morning, as Martha walked into the store, she still carried her usual stern demeanor. But deep down, a small glimmer of change had begun to take root, and she promised herself that today she would try to listen more and resist less. The morning sun streamed softly through the large glass panels of Bellmont Luxe, infusing the store with a sense of clarity and hope. Alex, holding a steaming cup of coffee, walked into the store with renewed determination. He wanted to right his previous wrongs and build a stronger relationship with Nina Carter. Entering the management office, Alex saw Nina engrossed in reviewing a stack of documents. She looked up as she heard his footsteps, offering a warm, friendly smile. "Good morning, Alex. Is there something I can help you with?" Nina asked, her tone gentle yet professional. Standing upright, Alex took a deep breath. "Miss Carter, I'd like to apologize. I know I stayed silent when I witnessed things that weren't right, and I feel I didn't fulfill my responsibility." Nina set the documents down and tilted her head slightly, studying Alex with curiosity. "You don't owe me an apology, Alex, but I appreciate your honesty. What's most important is that we learn from our mistakes and strive to do better." Alex nodded, his gaze sincere. "I want to be more actively involved in the training sessions and support you in any plans you have. I believe this store has so much potential to be even better." Nina smiled, a warm, encouraging smile. "I'm glad to hear that, Alex. Change isn't easy, but it starts with small steps like this. You can be an example for others." Their conversation was more than just an apology. It was a stepping stone toward building bridges between management and employees, leadership, and solidarity. Alex felt a sense of relief as he left the office, resolved to prove he could make a difference. Meanwhile, on the sales floor, Martha Lane stood near a display of handbags, her expression tinged with thoughtfulness. She recalled the training session from the day before and the words Alex had shared with her afterward. She knew her attitude needed to shift, but change wasn't easy for someone who had clung to old ways for over a decade. A young black customer entered the store, dressed simply but neatly. Martha hesitated for a moment, a fleeting judgment crossing her mind. She's probably just browsing. Yet, remembering the lessons from the training and Alex's advice, she took a deep breath and decided to approach things differently. Martha hesitated briefly before stepping forward. "Hello, ma'am. Is there something I can help you with?" she asked, her tone trying to convey more warmth than usual, though an undertone of hesitance lingered. The customer smiled. "Yes, I'm looking for a handbag suitable for work, but I'm not sure which style to choose." Martha nodded and began introducing handbags that matched the customer's needs. As the conversation unfolded, Martha realized that simply opening up and listening made everything feel more natural. The customer left with a satisfied smile, and Martha felt an unfamiliar sense of relief and accomplishment. From a distance, Nina observed quietly. She saw Martha taking tentative steps toward change, small as they might be. A glimmer of hope sparked within Nina. She understood that transforming a culture couldn't happen overnight, but individual efforts could lay the foundation for meaningful progress. Bellmont Luxe was evolving into more than just a luxury store. It was becoming a place where respect and understanding took precedence, a space where everyone had the opportunity to grow and learn from one another. A week later, the changes at Bellmont Luxe began to be felt more clearly. The training sessions on diversity and inclusion continued, and the atmosphere in the store seemed lighter, though there was an underlying tension. While some employees, like Alex and Clara, embraced the new values with enthusiasm, others were still opposed. In a short meeting with the staff, Nina Carter stood before them, her gaze confident yet patient. "I know these changes are not easy," she began, her voice gentle yet firm. "But if we want Belmont Lux to become a model of professionalism and respect, we must work together toward a common goal." Martha Lane sat in a corner of the room, her face still showing discomfort. She listened, but inside, she was conflicted. Her recent efforts to change her attitude had yielded some positive results, but she still found it difficult to fully adapt to the new approach. The meeting ended, and the staff returned to their positions. But when Nina walked into the store area, she noticed a group of employees gathered, whispering among themselves. As she approached, their conversation abruptly stopped, and all eyes turned to her. "Is something wrong?" Nina asked, her voice calm, but her gaze sharp. One of them, a senior employee named Richard, stepped forward. "Miss Carter, I'm not sure all these changes are really necessary. I've worked here for 15 years and have never seen a problem that required changing our entire culture." Richard's words created a heavy atmosphere. A few people nodded in agreement, while others, like Alex and Clara, remained silent, but their eyes clearly showed disagreement. Nina looked at Richard, her eyes not angry but calm and understanding. Richard, I appreciate your honesty, but I want to ask, if we can do better, why not try? Every customer who walks in here brings expectations with them. If we don't treat them all with respect and understanding, are we truly doing our job well? Richard fell silent, unsure of how to respond. A brief pause passed before Nina continued. I don't expect everyone to change immediately, but I hope that we can all be more open to learning. Change is not a critique of what we've done in the past. It's an opportunity for us to become better. After Nina left, Richard turned back to the group of employees still standing there. A few of them started whispering about what had just happened, but he didn't join in. Richard felt Nina's words linger in him. The years of working with fixed routines made him hesitant, but he couldn't deny that she had a point. Meanwhile, at the handbag display counter, Martha Lane was assisting a demanding customer. The woman kept asking to exchange bags, complaining about the material and the design. Martha initially felt frustrated, but remembering the advice from the training session, she tried to stay calm. I'm very sorry if these bags haven't met your expectations, Martha said, her voice softer than usual. Let me find a few other models I think you might like. The customer stopped complaining and watched Martha with a softened expression. After looking through the new bags, she chose one and offered a rare smile. Thank you. You really are very patient. Martha felt a small sense of pride rise within her. This was the first time she realized that the new approach not only made the customer happy, but also made her feel more at ease in her work. That evening, Nina sat alone in her office, the soft light casting over the piles of documents on the desk. She sighed, feeling the weight of the job. But in her heart, she remained firm in her belief that with patience and determination, Bellmont Luxe would overcome these challenges and become a true symbol of positive change. The next morning, Bellmont Luxe was livelier than usual. The recent changes at the store had started to take root in the employees' routines. However, not everyone found it easy to adapt, and today was a pivotal day as Nina Carter held one-on-one meetings with each staff member to hear their thoughts and feedback. Martha Lane entered the manager's office with a bit more confidence than she had the first time she met Nina. It had been a challenging week, but also one filled with moments of reflection. Nina invited her to sit down and began the conversation with a gentle smile. Miss Lane, thank you for taking the time to meet with me today, Nina began. I want to hear your thoughts on the changes we've implemented over the past few weeks. Martha took a deep breath, her eyes meeting Nina's. Miss Carter, I have to admit I was very uncomfortable with these changes at first, but after attending the training sessions and trying to apply what I learned, I've realized how much I've overlooked in my work and in how I treat others. Nina nodded, her gaze encouraging. How have you felt about the customers you've served recently? Has anything shifted your perspective? Martha smiled faintly, recalling her interaction with the young black customer she had served the week before. I've met a few customers who made me reconsider my approach. In the past, I often judged people by their appearance. Now I've realized that attitude and respect matter the most. One customer even thanked me for my patience, and for the first time, I felt genuinely proud of my work. Nina smiled warmly. I'm so glad to hear that. This is the first step toward building an environment where everyone feels welcome and respected. As the conversation concluded, Martha felt a sense of relief and even optimism about her future at Bellmont Luxe. Now, she left the office with a new goal, not only to change herself, but also to help her colleagues embrace the new values. Meanwhile, Alex entered Nina's office, his face showing a hint of excitement. Unlike the last time he was there to apologize, this time he came with an idea. Miss Carter, I have an idea I'd like to share. I think we should organize a peer sharing session where employees can get to know each other better and come up with solutions to improve our work. Um, Alex said, his eyes lighting up. Nina tilted her head, intrigued. That sounds interesting, Alex. Can you elaborate? I've noticed that some colleagues are still hesitant about the changes. If we create a safe space for everyone to share their thoughts, they might feel more heard and more open to embracing the new values. I'd be happy to help organize this session, Alex explained. Nina smiled, clearly pleased. I fully support your idea, Alex. Let's start planning and let the team know. I believe this could be a big step forward in fostering teamwork. The conversation with Alex not only highlighted his initiative, but also showed that Nina's efforts were gradually paying off. Alex left the office feeling inspired, ready to bring his idea to life. That afternoon, Nina held a full staff meeting to share the progress and set goals for the future. Standing before the team, her voice was filled with inspiration. I'm incredibly proud of the strides we've made. I know this journey hasn't been easy, but the commitment and effort from each of you have shown that we are capable of great things. Bellmont Luxe isn't just a luxury store, it's a place that embodies respect, inclusion, and innovation. Applause filled the room as Nina finished her speech. She looked around the room, sensing the growing unity. The bright expressions of Alex, Clara, and even Martha were proof of the transformation taking place. That evening, after the store had closed, Nina stood in the quiet space of Bellmont Luxe, gazing at the neatly arranged products on the shelves. She felt a wave of positive energy filling the room. This was the result of relentless effort, and she knew Belmont Lux was on its way to becoming a true symbol of change and growth. 2 months had passed since Nina Carter began her journey to transform Belmont Lux. The store was not only operating smoothly, but had also become a model of inclusivity and innovation in the luxury retail industry. The positive changes radiated from the staff to every customer who walked through its doors. Martha Lane was now one of the most enthusiastic employees in promoting the new values. She no longer hesitated to participate in training sessions or embrace changes she had initially deemed unnecessary. During a conversation with Clara, she said, "Surprisingly, I've learned so much. I used to think I knew everything, but there were things I never paid attention to. Now, I'm proud to say I can do my job better every day." Clara smiled and nodded in agreement. "We've all learned a lot, Miss Lane. I think our customers can feel the difference too." Meanwhile, Alex successfully organized the employee sharing session. The meeting took place in a warm and inviting atmosphere, with soft lighting creating a sense of closeness. A whiteboard stood in the center of the room where Alex had written prompts for everyone to reflect on and discuss. One by one, team members stood up to share their stories. Some lighthearted anecdotes brought laughter, while others evoked deep empathy and reflection. However, the most impactful moment came from Martha Lane. When it was her turn, Martha stood up, her eyes scanning the room. She took a deep breath before beginning. "To be honest, I was very resistant to the changes Miss Carter introduced at first," she said, her voice steady but deliberate. "I thought I knew it all, that what I was doing was right, but I was wrong. A recent customer, a young woman, taught me an invaluable lesson. I realized that just listening and showing respect can make all the difference. Since applying what I've learned, I've found my work not only easier, but also more meaningful." The room fell silent, everyone listening intently to Martha's words. When she finished, the room erupted in applause, genuine and heartfelt. Alex, standing nearby, nodded in encouragement, while Nina, from the back of the room, smiled with pride. Martha had not only transformed herself, but had also inspired others to follow suit. One day, Nina received a letter from a loyal customer. In the letter, Mrs. Whitmore wrote, "Dear Miss Carter, I wanted to express my heartfelt gratitude to you and the team at Belmont Luxe. The store not only offers exquisite products, but is also a place where customers feel genuinely respected and cared for. I am thrilled to see the positive changes you've implemented, and I will continue to support Belmont Luxe wholeheartedly. Sincerely, Mrs. Whitmore." Nina read the letter with a smile. She felt immense pride, not just in her own efforts, but also in the growth of her entire team. That day, Nina hosted a small celebration at the store to honor their achievements. Standing before the team, her voice brimmed with emotion. "We've overcome so many challenges together. I want to thank each and every one of you for your commitment and hard work. Belmont Luxe is not just a workplace, it's a family. We've proven that change isn't just necessary, it can also be an inspiration for everyone." Applause filled the room, and warmth spread throughout the celebration. Martha, Alex, Clara, and the other staff exchanged congratulations and laughed together. They were no longer just individuals, but a true team. As the celebration wound down, Nina lingered in the store alone. The light from the chandeliers illuminated the space, like reflecting off the meticulously arranged luxury products. She closed her eyes, taking a deep breath, and felt a profound sense of pride and fulfillment. Belmont Luxe had become a beacon of positive change, and for Nina Carter, this was only the beginning of even greater things to come.